Hello and welcome to this month's episode of Mapping It Out. If it was every week, I think the designers would have heart attacks with us constantly demanding updates, which of course we would do. Anyway, welcome to this month's episode of Mapping It Out. We are going to look at the new patch that dropped just the other day and what that brings and what that means for us. And particularly what it means for us is that we're nearing the end of technical alpha. We're going to talk more about that in today's show. And if you do have a question, please put the word question in caps so that I can see it in the text chat there, because we do stream to both Twitch and to YouTube, so I sort of check and watch what's going on. And nice to see all of you joining us already. Are we hype? Says Tavernaut in Twitch. We are hype. That is absolutely true. I, of course, have Till standing by to take us through the new patch notes and the new... showing us a demo of those new patches. So let's get him in. And Till, welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome everyone. Hi. I was in backstage. I was already laughing because he was saying if we give patches every week, we will get heart attacks. Well, that's true. But we are actually, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to increase the amount of patches that we're handing out. And if you ever want to know what's going on, join us on Discord, because if you ask us where we are, we usually just tell you where we are on Discord. Now, second thing, because you said that, the patch is not out yet. So if you're suddenly hectically looking for the patch and trying to find it, it is being code signed as we speak, so it will be released today. But as it is, testing it for a final pass today, we ran across a few things where we said, that probably should not be in there. And we were fixing that. So it is, again, it's being code signed at the moment, and I assume in the next few hours it will be released. And as always, we will ping you, we will notify you, we'll let you know once it's out. And then when you open the Daos application, you will see that there is a notification in there that says new update available, and you can just self-auto update there. What else? Nope, that's it. No, that's basically my introduction. Okay, see you.
Well, there you go. So you're not seeing what happened, what's already dropped. You're now getting a sneak peek of the upcoming patch, which will be dropping. There we go. So Till, this is going to be the second official patch since the relaunch. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Okay. Yes, that is. Because when time's flying, my mind is. When it was a month ago. It was almost exactly a month ago that we've launched the reboot of the technical alpha, and the week after that we had our 0.2.1 patch, and since then we've been working on the next patch, and we're going to talk about that today.
Absolutely. So with this new patch, what have you guys added?
Okay, I think there's a slide there where we can look at it. So we can talk a little bit about what has happened in the past month. Yes. And it also helps me to talk about what is in there.
This slide?
Yes, I was talking about this slide, the parity update that we're releasing today. So we basically we did a lot of foundation cleanup on the core. So we made sure that the code that we've added and the things that we've added, that we kind of always clean them up and make sure that they are ready for new deployments. In regards to the tools we have, and again, the reason why we're calling this a parity update is because we want to get back to the state that we were in the our first alpha attempt. Is we have now the random prop brush back in, we have the advanced prop settings back in, we have the improved selection tools back in, and we've also started to work on more selection options that will come within the next patch. We have now almost finished parenting. I know that there are still some things that need to be cleaned up to really call it finished, but in this patch, in today's patch, you will see that Landmass parenting is there, so we will have a look at that. We have started to work on the procedural textures and presets, but we kind of disjointed them from this patch because we want to test everything in terms of stability and performance, and we didn't want to overthrow ourselves with too many different features, so testing is easier for us. And we unfortunately haven't started on the thumbnail rendering yet, but it is still on our list. And the UI we're currently working on the advanced prop library. Some of the features have already found their way into the current patch, and we have added more shortcuts for prep placement. So if you look to the next column, which means a few further parity updates, this is basically all we need to do in that line. Then we're finished with technical alpha. And that means we want to do advanced export options. We want to bring in localization. Again, we need to do foundation cleanup. The input manager, which is basically working with the way that you input into Daos. There's still it still needs improvement at some points. The native Mac OS ARM version in terms of tools. We are currently working on a new selection tool, so you will see that soon. The color and the texture brush, we want them to be in there for testing as well. A prop eraser is on the list, and then we want to do an interface update and general UI improvements. But we will talk about the implications of that, I think, during the show today. For this update now, we have, I think, the three most important things tackled, which are the parenting, which works amazing, and the random prop tool, like the tool settings that we had before, because they were really cool, and we wanted to bring them in as soon as possible. So now that we have those off the list, we can now focus on the big thing that is, in terms of stability and performance, still waiting to be addressed, and that is how to deal with those giant texture, like the procedural textures and stuff like that, because they can affect performance quite drastically. And before we say we're done with technical alpha, we want to make sure that our texture engine is working as planned.
That's a lot to take in. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. Looking at the list, it's like, oh my God, this has only been 3 weeks, right? Because since the last patch and today, those were 3 weeks. And I know that so again, congratulations and thank you very much to my team who have been working on those updates. Because there were so many things happening that it feels like we're, from my time perception, it feels like we're like, oh my God, we're so much behind on updates. We should have pushed updates earlier. And then I was looking at the timetable and I was like, oh, wait, that's only 3 weeks. And when I look at the feature list, I'm like, oh, wow, we did that in 3 weeks. So congratulations, guys. You're amazing as always.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic to see this progress. Now, you've actually got the program open and available. Can you take us through those changes and things? So let's have a look and see. All right, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go for it.
Okay, so here you are. This is another little demo map that I've prepped, and I just need on a second screen, I need my checklist, otherwise I will forget things. Okay, so the first thing, and again the most important thing to my belief, is the parenting that you can easily see here. So if you do stuff, all the props are now properly parented to the landmass, and so you can move all those things separately. You will see here with the little ship that we have. Let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see better. we have tweaked the mechanic a little bit so that when you place something over the shallow water areas, they still belong to that landmass, which I think is a nice visual indication. If you want to place something close to a landmass, but it doesn't connect to the landmass, you can place it on the shallow water. Might need to tweak a little bit with the distance. This is where your feedback comes in. But so if I would be, for example, if I would take that ship and I would assign it to this landmass, you will see that it's now stick to this landmass. This was the hardest part, to be honest. Like the parenting and all the edge cases that come up with parenting are mind-boggling. So for example, we wanted to make sure that when you, for example, take those two and you go in and connect them, they technically become one landmass. And as you can see, it needs at least some calculation to do that, because now they are becoming one landmass, and this landmass now inherits all those props. So if I start to shift around, they're now connected, and I can easily go in and disjoint them by, for example, let's do something completely weird. Let's do something like this. And although this is still a proper hierarchy, all those things are now, okay, so there you see there's a little bug here. So this wasn't properly disconnected. But this one is, and this one is as well. And those are now, they should have belonged to this part. But that's exactly what we're talking about. This is vastly complicated, and we've spent a lot of time doing that. So there are definitely going to be some hot fixes over the next couple of days where we will find those little things, especially when you give us feedback, and we can kind of tweak and optimize that. So that's just the parenting part that we have addressed. Then let's go in here for a little bit. So you will see that we have added a lot more features here in the side panel for props. So you have the dynamics back with the spacing and the scatter. What does that mean? If I go into my prop selection and I select, let's just do one cactus here, and I set the spacing to, let's say, 3, and the scatter to 3. I will now, as you can see, I will now scatter this with an appropriate spacing all over that, instead of doing one fine line. So this is when scatter is being applied. And again, if I go to spacing 1 and scatter 0, for example, this would be the same thing without the scatter being applied.
I want to just jump in here quickly, Till, and just remind everyone who's watching that because of the nature of how Zoom compresses desktop display, the quality of those cacti and the trees, it looks like it's got some kind of painted effect on it. That's actually just how it's transmitting Till's desktop plus his video to us. Unfortunately, the priority is given to Till's face rather than to the map. I mean, we all know who we want to look at, really, so just bear that in mind. I
mean, do you want me? I can get rid of myself if you prefer.
No. It really won't make a huge difference. Zoom is not that smart,
okay.
Sadly. It's a great program,
okay.
But just to bear that in mind. Sorry, Till, carry on. So yes.
Yes, carry on. So the second thing that we have introduced or brought back. Oh no. Do not subtract things from nothing. That doesn't help. Is if you remember in the previous build, we had this nice little feature where you could combine different props into a random prop list. So I could go in and say, okay, I also want those rocks here and maybe some of the dead trees. Where are they? We do not know where they are, so we're going to search for them. Dead, which means there's a search field back in. We've brought that back, And now if I start to brush them, you will see that it randomly builds from that, which is not as beautiful as it could be because I forgot to add scatter. And now I can very quickly create an interesting forest scene, for example, or I could do this with mountains, or I could combine mountains with trees. So that's very much up to you how to do that. And if you look very closely, we have also, which is kind of a visual effect right now, it's going to be much more impressive once the textures are in there. But we have now also finally made it to have this inner white glow with the shallow water effects here, so that it kind of nicely blends once we have the textures in there. So I think that's the gist of it. I'm pretty sure I forgot something, but I'm going through my list right now, and those are the core things that we did. And let me just see. Parenting, check. Split group parent landmasses, check. Scatter, check. Randomize, check. Asset random select, check. Asset search, check. Oh, yeah, right. So the only thing that we haven't touched yet, because it is complicated with the whole landmass parenting, is the question, what happens if you rotate a landmass? So right now, if you rotate it, this would happen. But we feel like this might be wanted, but this might not be wanted, because if you remember from the previous build, we had them always kind of aligned properly, and they were just kind of carouseling. So this is going to be an option that we're going to give you. For this current build, it is not in there yet. Right.
That's it. Fantastic. I think it's looking great. So I think it's always it's progressing forward, and so in the next iteration, we're going to see the texture pack. Is that right? The brushes?
Yes. So there's definitely this week, there's definitely coming one more patch that will tackle with the small things that we did not update for today because we just didn't make it. But we want to deliver that as part of this package. So there's going to be a hotfix this week. And once that is done, we will then work with the textures. And that will, again, on like what we always call the MVP, the minimal viable product, that will then start with landmass and water, having textures again, and then building upon that, again, a selection, so you can set different textures. And because it is very much related to that, we will also start working on the texture brush then.
Fantastic. All right, shall we shift back then? Actually,
Yes.
Let me ask you some of these questions before we go.
Yep.
So the scattering of the assets, it's a lovely, lovely feature. And I see chat is saying, oh, definitely I use that until we've got biomes going. And maybe in conjunction with biomes as well, I can see it working very well. Does it scatter all the objects according to the layer or according to the actual object itself? So in other words, if you draw with the scatter tool in effect, it's using the scatter math to push the objects apart. If you were to draw over that again, would it take into account where the previous objects are, or is it just drawing over them again?
It's just drawing over them. So it's currently not paying attention to whether or not a field has already been taken. And to be honest, I like the idea. But that is definitely something for later down the road when we feel like, okay, all the core basics are done. How can we improve on specific tools where we can then revisit that and say, okay, now let's look at something like a distance spacing that checks for an existing prop and places it not on top, but next to it, for example.
Right. No, that's fantastic. Then with regards to choosing multiple different props to build your prop collection, I suppose, do you see a way in the future of being able to prioritize these props?
Yes.
Maybe, I double click on the tree prop, so it's more prolific than the rock prop.
Yes. Yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is now that we're slowly moving out of technical alpha, the UI that we're currently using, the UI library that we're currently using, is kind of growing. We're growing beyond that. So Andre has already started to work on the new UI that we're going to establish that will then easily allow us much more granular settings for all the stuff. And there has already been a discussion, a concept discussion on how we could visualize what, because it's absolutely, I see the same thing. So if the feedback rolls in, I will be like, yes, absolutely. It's really hard at the moment in this UI to see what is actually being selected and highlighted as part of that multiple asset mix. So we already have a concept of how we can reflect that in the UI, which means something familiar or similar to the recently used section here, that would then probably have a little text field beneath or a little slider beneath that allows you to adjust the rarity of those things in the list. So the concept's already there. It's just we're first again technical alpha finishing, and then establishing the new UI together with those advanced features later down the road.
Makes absolute sense. Then are we going to see a layers system coming back?
Yes, you are. Thank you for reminding me. Through our first alpha, we've already learned that the way that we've been addressing our layer list was very enthusiastic about the amount in comparison to the amount of assets that you place. So we've said that we want to do a complete rework of our layering. And the hierarchy system, the parenting and hierarchy system is already in there. So the technical aspects of this layering is already done. Now it's just a question of UI-wise, how can we make that a good user experience if you want to select a specific prop or a prop group or something like that in relation to the layers that it might be placed upon. And since Nikita is already working on our what we're calling currently a selection rectangular, I'm not sure if it's going to be rectangular at the end, but our like multi-selection tool, we said, okay, let's tackle that first, because then we also know how selection feels. And then we have all those, let's say, base components to say, okay, this is how our hierarchy works. This is how selection feels, single selection or multi-selection or selecting with a brush selection or whatever it is going to be then. And based on those, we can then say, okay, this is how the UI should look like, and this is how the layering should feel. But the layering is definitely coming back.
Okay, cool. That makes absolute sense. We've got some questions that are pertinent here to ask from the audience. Tavernaut on Twitch asks, will this be pushed, so the update, will this be pushed with the auto updater, or will we have to do a manual update?
Nope. This will be, I hope I'm not saying something wrong, but no, this is part of the self-updater.
Okay, that makes sense. Then let's just see. Yes, a reminder to please put the word question in caps lock in front of your question, so it just pops out and I can see it better. Abbasia Malktho asks, what UI library are you using currently? What are you moving towards?
Oh my God.
On the spot questions.
Yes. I don't know. I can't remember. I've said it in one of the previous streams, but I can't remember what the UI library is called that we're using right now. It's just, I can't remember. I know that the new one is called Gnosis.
Gnosis. There you are. Okay, I'm sure the devs are in chat as well. They can fill in the blank if it's absolutely critical. Drigger X on YouTube says, for the dev team, what priority level is getting some sort of blueprint feature? Is there any hope for an ETA yet?
I was expecting that question because I saw a conversation about that on Discord today. So we had a long discussion about that, and it is, unfortunately for you, having a blueprint tool is not really a tech alpha thing, because we don't really need that tool to verify whether or not our core systems are working. It's still on high priority the second we leave tech alpha. And the only good news I can give on that is we're basically only one major patch away from leaving tech alpha, because again, as I said, with this patch today, we're testing how the parenting system works in comparison to stability and performance, with giant landmasses and multiple assets on that, when you're kind of manipulating the hierarchy of that stuff. So once we have that checked, the only thing left for us is basically the texture performance, and that would then also be, if we have confirmation on that you're happy with that and that it works on all the environments, we will then leave tech alpha, which means that will then be the right point to do the blueprint system.
There you go. I hope I'm pronouncing this okay. Hauke Frauman asks, when will we get this version? It's tonight, yeah?
Yes, it's tonight. So while we're talking, I was peeking over to my dev chat and see if they posted me something. It seems like it's not going to be while we speak, but it's going to be shortly after.
All right, fantastic. And then another question from Drigger X. Is there a way for us as users to tell you what features we are most looking forward to for priority?
Yes. Yes, there is. There is the when you don't see it in my application right now because the overlays are in the way. But here, if you see my mouse cursor moving upward, here in the upper UI, you will find a feedback button, and there you can tell us, that you can give us feedback, which is also like wish list or tools, and you can prioritize them. We are also, and this is work in progress yet, we are currently establishing a proper changelog tool on the DungeonFog website that is also available for the DEIOS changelogs, and there is also a wish list and suggestion tool, where you can then not only submit suggestions, but rank and rate the suggestions of other users. Because we have that on our Discord through a bot. But some people told me that they cannot work with that bot. We said, okay, probably we need to change that.
I swear it wasn't me.
I swear it was you.
Abessa Malktho asks another question on Twitch. With lots of assets on the landmass, how is the performance of separating those landmasses? Is this something that we should be worried about if we've got giant landmasses and suddenly we decide there should be a rift between the two of them?
So that is exactly the question that we're putting out to the testers. Is as you have seen on my end, separating isn't that much of a problem because that's easier to do from a calculation, but joining takes a little bit longer. It's not finally optimized to, like, we haven't reached the top of the bar when it comes to optimization. But your feedback will help us to understand how much priority we need to put on that part of the optimization, because it feels kind of smooth now, but that will have. What more can I say? That's exactly what we're asking you. Please test that. Please give us feedback. Please let us know if that even crashes your application. I don't think it should. But that's something that we would like to know.
Fantastic. Okay, shall we switch back to our normal view?
Yeah, but don't give me the countdown right now, because I'm giving me a Coke right now. Wait. Sorry.
Will sound effects ever be part of Daos, so we can hear the beaches, the waves?
So sorry. Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, we have, more jokingly, because we really have a lot on our table right now, and it's like, but we had a discussion on that where we said, wait, how cool would it be if you could add sound sources to forests, for example, and you could hear the birds tweeting when the fog of war reveal for the world map or region map kind of reveals a forest with a little river, and you could hear that and see that. But to be completely honest, we still have our sound tools waiting to be ticked off for DungeonFog. So don't wait for this. It probably will hit Daos eventually, but nowhere near the near future.
I have to say, shall we switch back? Let's switch back.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go. So I have to say, I have a piece of software which I use for creating three-dimensional imagery, terrain, landscapes, and that sort of thing. And they do include audio. And I usually turn it off after the first few minutes, because the sound of the waves gently breaking starts to put me to sleep. So there we are. Back to some more serious questions. Once you transition from technical alpha to feature alpha, are we going to lose all of our technical alpha maps?
Hopefully then no. But again, in the alpha, there is no guarantee. So for example, for this patch, you will definitely lose your maps, which means please export them before you update, because introducing the hierarchy on the maps means that we can't rebuild the map, because the previous maps, the maps that you've previously created, they do not have a hierarchy, and we were looking at ways to transform that, but that would have probably added 2 more weeks of development just for porting those maps. And I feel like, again, this is alpha, and this is tech alpha testing, so this doesn't make sense. Once we transition into feature alpha, and also because we are now slowly getting to the point where the database models are not changing that much, hopefully, anymore, the chances of keeping maps throughout progress and new updates is getting higher. But I will just remind you, as long as we have an alpha flag on the development, there's no guarantee that we don't have to get rid of the maps.
Fantastic. I see there's a little flag here from Lazarus saying, please don't forget to talk about exporting as a single file. Does that trigger anything to you?
Oh, yes. So we had, I think there were a few people wondering, what happens to my map if I click on export? And the answer is, if you click on export, your map gets saved as a PNG file, and it's saved in your documents folder on Windows, at least. I know where that is, in the documents folder, and there you can find your Daos folder. That's where you can find those export images. But if you remember the roadmap that we've just been looking at, advanced export is already on the roadmap for one of the next parity updates. So there will be a much better export system where you can pick the folder where the image should be saved.
That makes sense. Okay, fantastic. Let's then move forward. Now, something that is launching very soon in the DungeonFog battle map space is the marketplace. And this is going to form the basis of the Daos marketplace as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay, so aside from the Daos application itself, there is a lot going on in the back-end sphere of DungeonFog, where we are currently building a new asset management service that will be able to distribute assets amongst the online battle map editor and the desktop editor. Jonas and Andy are working on that, and they're making quite good progress. It is also going to function as an interface for you as a user, that when you log into your cloud account, where you can then upload and manage assets manually, you will be able to use them locally as well, and you don't have to upload them into the cloud. That's a completely different topic. But it's also going to function as a portal for external artists to manage all the asset packs and things they want to put into the DungeonFog network. This is currently being developed as we speak, but we've already been working for quite some time on the marketplace, and that is going to be ready next week. May the 4th be with the marketplace, because then the online, yeah. I was asking today, should we do a little teaser image with Javas on it, or probably how's it called, the episode 1, the flying merchant, Watto?
Yes, Troidarians.
Yeah. And Herbert was like, well, no, put Ferengis on it. And I was like, that would be amazing. I feel like we would get a lot of hate for it. Since the service is already ready and DungeonFog, the online battle map editor, is how do you call it? Flourishing, growing, yes, expanding, we said, okay, we want to do a testing phase and a marketplace beta over the next 2 months, and that is going to start next week. And that means that the marketplace is coming in preparation for whatever we're going to do with that then for days later down the road.
Fantastic. So just going into that marketplace quickly, what can we expect from that? We've got a slide, haven't we?
Yes, we can. Before we go into the slide, the marketplace itself is basically, because the slide is more aiming towards how does that affect free users. The marketplace is a way for external artists to sell their asset packs, and we have, for the testing phase, we have 2 asset artists and 1 company that I'm very fond of, who are participating in that marketplace beta, and that is Keora, who's bringing some asset packs to the marketplace, and I'm really happy that we have convinced Forgotten Adventures to be part of that. So there's going to be a lot of packs from Forgotten Adventures in the marketplace. And one company that I really like, and I have been using it in some of my games already, is Ardent Roleplay. They have kind of AR, which is augmented reality cards that you can play through the game, and they contain secrets or infos that the party can then investigate through the phones or tablets. And that works perfectly with DungeonFog maps, because you can place those cards on DungeonFog maps and reveal them to your players. So Ardent Roleplay has also pushed some stuff into the marketplace. And that's the concept behind the marketplace. But now we can go into the slide, because the way we're doing that means also that we're changing a lot in the way that we are talking to free users or premium users. So in the old system, a free user pre-marketplace had only up to 3 maps, and the only way to unlock all 3 map slots was to invite at least 2 friends. Now we're getting rid of that, and we're saying every new free user has 3 maps by default, but they have an option in the marketplace to buy additional map slots up to a maximum of 12 map slots. So even if you hate subscriptions and you don't like that, but you just want to use DungeonFog to occasionally build maps, there is now much more space for you to stay out of a subscription, but still get the most out of the tool here. And as a premium member, as always, you have limitless. Like there's no limit to the amount of maps that you can own on the DungeonFog website. In the previous old version, you only had a few free assets that we kind of included, and now we are going to open that. You have a base fantasy pack with, I think, 50 assets, but you have access to all the free packs that are on the marketplace, because the marketplace is not only containing purchasable packs, but there are also free packs there as well. So as a free user, you can grab those. But of course, as a free user, you also have access to the purchasable stuff there, and you can just buy stuff on the marketplace without having to get the subscription. The benefit for someone who has a premium subscription, however, is that you're getting a discount, a premium discount on all your purchases on the marketplace. And when it comes to the editor features, we have, for free users, we have all the basic features. So we're not taking you anything away. It's everything that you had before stays there. The only thing is that now we are slowly getting in a space where new features are very carefully evaluated, whether or not they are convenience features, like, for example, the prop templates or the room templates, or if they are core features, like, for example, the gem nodes, that will then, a core feature will always be part of the basic tool set, whereas convenience features will always be part of the premium tool set. So there's a lot there that's happening next week, because all of those changes will be applied next week on May the 4th, which is, I think, again, a Tuesday. So we're going to have a stream. There's going to be a weekly DungeonFog community stream where we will unpack all of those things once the update is live.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, before we carry on, there's a question that came through, which I think is actually quite relevant. And it's from two separate users. They asked the same question. So Hauke Framen and DriggerX asked, when we're creating rivers in Daos, we're going back to Daos here, when creating rivers, is there going to be a separate tool for creating rivers and lakes, or will we be splitting land masses and deleting land masses?
No. The only reason why you are splitting land masses at the moment is because there is no specific river tool or water body tool in there that allows you to create, how do you call it, sweet water? Is that how you would say it? Sweet water, like, you know, you have salt water and what do you call it?
Fresh water.
Fresh water, sorry. So to create freshwater bodies, there will be a specific tool for that. And it will be part of the tools feature alpha.
Fantastic. Okay. Then Travanaut asks a question. Are we ever getting a referral program now that the current referral program is being removed?
What?
Ich weiß nicht. I don't know either. It's like, what? I'm not sure about that. Travanaut, if you can just clarify on that question.
Yes, please, because I don't think that we have removed any referral programs.
There you are. Okay, well, we'll have a look into that. Now, I don't see any other questions coming through from anybody, which is absolutely fine. We have a few things to go through, and that is, there was a competition for DungeonFog's battle map editor, and I was lucky to be one of the judges, or actually unlucky enough to be one of the judges, because
it was hard, wasn't it?
It was so tough. It's like, it's got to be this one. And then you see the next one, you're like, no, it's that one, but maybe it's still this one. And then anyway, so we went through that. The submissions were absolutely amazing. Congratulations to all of the winners who participated. And if you are a user, just a reminder, Till, you run a stream every Tuesday and Thursday. Is that right?
Yes, my streams are every Tuesday and Thursday, and the last Tuesday of a month is always dedicated to DEIOS, whereas every other Tuesday is just regular DungeonFog news. And my Thursdays are all around map making, which means this Thursday we'll have a special topic or a special theme, because you guys are showing up in my Thursday stream, and we will be reviewing the winner map and like the gold and the silver map of the Masters of the Tool contest, and we will just discuss what we think about that, how the rating came, how the points were given, and general feedback on what would you improve or what would I improve. So we're kind of reviewing for a couple of hours. We're going to, for an hour, we're going to review those maps. And that is going to be this Thursday at 7:30 UTC PM, which means soon.
Soon. Yes, 7:30 UTC. So an hour ago it would have started. So anyway, That's all good, and it's fascinating from that perspective because you're unpicking a map. And I know that all of the maps that we looked at, there were some that had things that we went, how on earth was that achieved? And I think that's when you're really learning things, is trying to figure out how people have done things. Because it's amazing how it doesn't matter whether it's Daos or Battle Map Maker. People will use the tools in unique ways, and I think that's what's so fascinating. Now, speaking more on that very quickly, there's a new importer for...
Yes, there is.
That's right. Take us through that.
So this is Premiere stuff, because I just learned about that today, that it is finished. So you're the first ones to hear about that. I will do proper announcements later this week. Forecaster, one of our community moderators, has been working on an importer script for Fantasy Grounds Unity. And he just reached out to me today and he showed it to me, and it's amazing. So we're going to share that, and I'm pretty sure, Guy, are you going to post the link in the chat?
Yes, I will, please. He said.
I can do it too, but
no, I've got it here.
Okay, so there's a specific website that you can go to, and when you paste, like you download your DungeonFog map, and this converts it into a readable version for your Fantasy Grounds Unity. So if you're using Fantasy Grounds Unity for your games, and you've always hoped that there would be a way to import your maps with dynamic lighting walls and lights. I think lights are not supported yet, although the importer can already do that, but Fantasy Grounds Unity doesn't do that yet. But if you want all that fancy stuff that we're already doing for Foundry, if you want to have that for Fantasy Grounds Unity as well, then you can have that now. And sorry, I need to at least once say the link aloud. It is towerofawesome.org, and there you can convert your files. You don't have to run it through the website. There's a Python script that you can download and do it locally as well. But that's where you want to go. If you're using Fantasy Grounds Unity and you want to convert DungeonFog maps to use them directly in Fantasy Grounds Unity, thanks to Forecaster, this is now available.
There we go. Now they're saying the link is not working in Twitch, even though I copied and pasted it directly. Maybe I have to delete that part. I don't know. Let's see. We'll try that. Oh, I can't. I'm not allowed to post links, Till. You've given me a job that I cannot do. Look at that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in Twitch, I don't have the power. How disappointing. Anyway, that's fantastic. So yes, definitely check it out. It's been posted up now, so it should be
okay. Someone else has posted.
That's lovely. Okay, folks. So now with that importance, that means you've got Fantasy Grounds and now well, you have Foundry and now you have Fantasy Grounds. So that's fantastic.
Exactly.
Ever growing, always lovely. Tomorrow, Till is going to be a guest on my show because we didn't spend enough time with each other this week. Actually, I just enjoy hanging out with you. So you're going to be on my show tomorrow night where you're showing me how you used DungeonFog to create a survival tracker system for
Yes.
a role-playing game.
Yes, that's true.
So that's going to be an interesting one. That's 6 o'clock
7 p.m. UTC.
7 p.m. UTC. There we go. We'll post links. Watch our social media. That's why it's there, because apparently we don't remember on our own time zone. Anyway, so that's going to be happening tomorrow night. So join us for a whole week of Guy and Till doing stuff. Yeah, I know I'll certainly be there for that. So there we go. Now, yes, Till, I think that's pretty much it from us. I'm just checking for any final questions here. Palomaro asks, any predictions as to when Daos will be finished? I know nothing has been confirmed, but do you have any clues as to when it would theoretically happen?
Well, we have internal estimates on that, but they're kind of changing on a weekly basis. It's definitely not going to be at the end of 2021. I mean, that was our goal initially, but then we had to rework our complete core system. So it is, I would say it is most likely to be somewhere around the second to third quarter of 2022. That would be my guess. And my hope is that the more we progress into tools development, the faster we get, because the core is established. But again, this is we're still in tech alpha. So I think I'm pretty confident that by the end of this year, we are in a state where it is a viable tool for creating landmasses, and I mean world maps, region maps, and most likely city maps, because we still have that on our agenda for this year. But in terms of we're finished with it, and we're confident that this is now a product that we call release, I don't think that it will be before summer 2022.
There we go. And as someone pointed out in chat, if you look at what DungeonFog Battle Maps has done, it was finished, it was released, and yet it's constantly growing and evolving. As we like it, we're getting more features every time. I don't think anyone can complain about the upgrades. There's another question here from DriggerX. Will there be some sort of creator referral program to track and manage codes and invite links for content creators? It sounds like an affiliation program that they might be.
It sounds like an affiliation program, and we have been looking at, because we have some kind of affiliation program. So if you okay. Now, sorry, it's already late here. So if you're a content creator and you're streaming about DungeonFog, or you're sharing content that you create with DungeonFog, the question I assume is there a way for you to give out a coupon code to your audience that if they use that code, you're getting kind of an affiliation participation on that? So the answer is we have been experimenting with that, and there is a system. It's just very awkward to use. So if once we have more time, we will reinvestigate that, and we will probably bring some more life into that. So it's not a definite no. Au contraire, it's more like a yes, but please, I need some time to get this working first.
There you are. And with that, that brings us to the end of the show. So Till, thank you so much for joining us tonight and taking us through everything. And thank you all for watching, and for your questions, and for participating. And anything from you, Till?
No, just thank you as always. It was, thank you, Guy, for walking us through all of that. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to be guest tomorrow at your show. And I can see already that my devs are pinging me because they want a last call, and I assume this call is all about, Till, can we please push the release button? So keep an eye out on your self-updater. Release is incoming.
There we go. Fantastic. So from all of us here at DungeonFog to all of you, all we have to say is thanks for now and happy map making. Goodbye.